Yeah.
Man, I can't get.
Is it broken?
When I was a kid, the N64 was the undisputed king of sleepovers, and my favorite were always the party games, ones with a bunch of little mini games that you and your friends could all play together. Two of my favorite party games were Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. In particular, the mini games. I didn't do a lot of the Pokemon battling, but it had a lot of really fun mini games that I just adored. Recently, I've been really into recreating game mechanics in VR using Horizon's building and scripting tools. And while I've been doing that, this old reflex test of minigame popped into my head. It was the Clear Cut Challenge from Pokemon Stadium 2. And I thought, I could probably build that in VR. So let's find out if I was right. Real quick, I want to go over some of the basics that I'm gonna need in order to build this world. I'm definitely gonna need a log that falls down, that knows when a player has cut it and where. I'm gonna need a way to compare each player's cut lines from their goal lines and determine a winner for that. I need a cutting implement, preferably based on Scyther's Claws from the Pokemon Stadium games. And I'm gonna need a beautiful world for all of these mechanics to go into. I'm gonna start off building that log that I was talking about. I'm pretty sure if I make it a physics-based object, I can just use gravity to make it fall. So it should fall pretty naturally, which I think is gonna be great. I think this is gonna go pretty smoothly, but I'm gonna hop in and we'll see how it goes.
I'd call this first session a success.
The first session was not a success. I need to make sure that the entirety of the log is non-collidable, including the goal marker ring and the player hit ring, so that those don't hit the ground and turn the log into the world's worst seesaw. I do have a basic version of the sword made, which is great, and I do have a trigger inside the log that theoretically will be able to know when the player cuts the log and at what position. So we've got to start, but it definitely needs a lot of work. All right, I got the log working. I have it so that trigger I mentioned earlier can detect when the sword enters the log and it'll move the red marker to the position where it was cut. I've got it so it'll compare and display the distance between the goal and the red marker, which gives me a super rudimentary version of scoring. So I just need to make a script that gathers each player's scores and compares them to declare a winner, and we will be on our way. I did want to take a quick break in the middle of this video to talk a bit about Horizon Worlds. We're currently in a moment in time where finding resources on game development and getting access to programs to develop games is the easiest it's ever been. So that does beg the question, out of all of the game making software out there and all of the programs that let you build in VR out there, why do I build in Horizon Worlds? For the last several years, I've been super into the idea of making games. And since I got into VR, that urge has only grown stronger. But trying to teach myself how to develop games while also working and maintaining relationships is just not something I've been able to accomplish. I did a couple super beginner courses in Unity and Unreal Engine about game development, but nothing stuck in my head and I didn't have the time to commit to actually learn them. So when I found Horizon, I had basically zero coding experience. I knew what an if statement was theoretically, but I couldn't have told you what an event was for to save my life. So when I got access to Horizons, I started watching some tutorial videos out there. I even watched some videos on this channel, but I started trying to teach myself things and build little projects, and they slowly got bigger, and skip to a couple months later, they announced the first Horizon building contest. It was the launchers competition, and I decided I was going to enter. So I took the things I had learned in a couple months, threw them together, and I eventually came out with something that I'm really proud of. And I ended up taking third place. In less than half a year, I went from knowing nothing about coding to being an award-winning scripter in Horizon. I am by no stretch of the imagination a scripting prodigy. In fact, I'm certain the editor is showing video of my failures behind me as I speak. I don't think I was able to do all of that in Horizon because I'm special. I'm not. I think I was able to do all of that because Horizon's special. So if you haven't tried building in Horizon yet, hop on, try. That's why I build in Horizon. Let's go back to the reason that I'm making the video. I have the mechanics for the world up and running. Now I need to actually playtest them. So I'm going to get my brother and a friend of mine in here. We're going to do the world's smallest playtest on a game that has none of the aesthetics designed, so it will not be pretty. And we're gonna see how quickly we can break this thing that I have made. Well, I learned a lot from that playtest. The main thing that I learned is that if you are recording your video through the Quest 2 and you're in a party with people, it doesn't record your party audio. So it will just be recording of you talking at people with absolutely no response. But it's okay. I did get a lot of super insightful feedback from my playtesters, who were my brother and a friend of mine, Taco Sun King. And you'll just have to take my word for that. But probably my favorite moment of the playtest was my friend Taco Sun King got a 0.13 score. It's the single best score that I've ever seen. It was actually incredible, and I'm so glad that we got footage of it. We found a fun little bug where if you grab 2 of the swords at once, the game will not start until those swords are released, so you can essentially hold the entire room hostage, which is something I'm going to have to fix. But other than that, I really just need to focus on making the world look pretty. I want to base the world's aesthetics on the original Clear Cut Challenge. It's going to be pretty different for one. The original Clear Cut Challenge is an N64 game. You only see one very specific angle pointed at the stage, and I have to develop an entire 360-degree world. And also, I am not a visual artist. I really like making things that look good, but it is not something that I particularly excel at. So I'm going to do my best and see what I can come up with. Let's do it. This is a game. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. It looks better than I thought it was going to. I was showing a friend of mine a picture of it and said, all I have left now to do is add some juice. And they had no idea what I was talking about. So I thought it might be useful to define what adding juice to a game means. In case any of you don't know, basically adding juice to a game is the audio and visual effects like muzzle flashes and hit sparks, or it's saying combo on the screen, having the screen shake during a big attack. All of that is juice. It makes a game feel like it adds weight to your attacks, and it adds like it makes things feel satisfying. Even the sounds when you loot items from an enemy can be adding juice to a game just to make it more immersive. So it's basically just all the bells and whistles that complete a game to make it feel like a complete experience. So I'm going to add some bells and whistles to the game, and we're going to do a much larger playtest. If that goes well, I'm going to launch. The game is ready. I'm relatively certain the game is ready. We're gonna have a big play test with some faces you should recognize if you've seen any of the other videos on Vidyuu's channel. It should be a lot of fun. It's gonna be cool to see how the world works with a lot of people in it. And I was spending a bunch of time trying to figure out a name for it and had no luck until Vidyuu's own Lakes, who you would know from most of the tutorials on this channel, suggested why don't I use the same naming convention that they've used for a bunch of their worlds here. Started in, I believe the first world with this naming convention was Pop Pop. So we are calling the world Chop Chop. If you want to play, hop into Horizon Worlds and search for Chop Chop. But yeah, next up, the big playtest. Let's see how it goes. It did not run smooth. Minutes in, we found a entirely game-breaking bug while the world was nearly full of people, and it definitely wasn't at all embarrassing. But luckily, me and Lakes hopped into build mode. I built a world reset button, which I should have done in the first place already, but it's okay because there is one now. And me and Lakes made some changes to the script to try and prevent the bug from occurring anymore in the future. Once we got that bug squished, it was a lot of fun. It was really cool seeing so many people trying out this world that I had made. It was a lot of fun making a world that could hold more people, which is neat for me. I've built a lot of worlds that were a little the complex side, and I couldn't fit many people in them. It was nice being able to experience this game with a large number of people specifically. It made it feel like an event, which was a lot of fun. And having it be short little rounds that people are constantly swapping out was also a really cool experience. So it was great seeing people's reactions and talking to people about what they thought. And I'm super glad we did it. It was a blast. We did it. Huge thank you to Lakes for helping me squash that bug at the end there, and extra big thank you to Vidyuu for letting me make this video. It's very cool for me to be making a video for the channel where I learned how to script, so I'm really grateful for that. This has been a really cool experience, and it's the first time I've ever made a complete game with round start and score calculations and a winner declared. Most of my other experiences have been like exploration worlds and movement mechanics. So this was a lot of fun to do, and I'd like to do it more in the future. So if there are things that you guys have in terms of feedback for what you'd like to see me focus on when talking about mechanics, or if you have mechanics you'd like to see me try and build in VR, let me know in the comments below. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. And to quote Vidyuu's very own Lakes, bye.